Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome
This
back.
this is that show, that one show that you probably all have like heard of, the Bodacious Rant with myself, Bern, and my lovely compound to my man, the myth, the legend, the compadre, the Cohiba, the I don't know what he says, whatever that man says.
The
He's too good.
Cohibas, these are the Cubans. I don't remember what he says, but yes, this is Rye, and you guys are listening to the Bodacious Rant. Welcome back as always. How are you, my brother?
Good, man, real good. Lots of good stuff to talk about. It's exciting. It's exciting. It's so good, goosies. All right, Mr. Covington.
I can't do the head twitch. Like it just doesn't like seem as exaggerated as hers. Just an extra treat for you, so.
It's probably because D looks like a bird.
I just like that's the one disguise she decides to do. She always wants to play like the most ridiculous characters in Always Sunny. Like her super racist, like Puerto Rican newscaster lady, I forgot her name, a Chinese or a Taiwanese lady. Um,
Just
she's
caricatures, just racist caricatures.
they really are. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if those are in all those episodes anymore on Hulu. I think when
Oh,
they
right.
I think when they did the whole like when they got rid of the black facing thing last year, I think they took a lot of those off just
Oh,
because
man.
I don't remember though, but I know like the lethal weapon ones aren't on there anymore, which actually were just super
I
funny, but
really like the
super
Lethal Weapon
offensive.
episode.
But it's like they were kind of doing like a Tropic Thunder where like it is offensive, but it was just doing it just because it's like it's showing how stupid it is. Like
Yeah, you're not laughing at the fact that they're doing it. I mean, you're laughing at the fact like they're just so dumb. It's making fun of them as much as not as much as making fun of like you know black people.
exactly.
It's just showing just how stupid they are.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for Always Sunny to come back. But
They
anyway,
being Mac and Dennis, not black people.
yeah,
Just to clarify.
yes, please clarify that, Bird. That's you don't want to get that. You don't want to be in that misconstrued. You
No,
want to
my,
be in
my
that
roommate
problem.
will kill me.
But anyways, let's get down to it, shall we?
This-
WandaVision episode 3 just premiered this week. Another great episode, but this is definitely one that I thought each one kind of like how Mandalorian season 2 was, it just keeps escalating into the story more so, just a slow climb into the climax. And this one was just I think a lot scarier than the last two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Now that we're getting a better idea of what's happening, like it does feel like you said, like this sinister undertone is being, slowly revealed to us, and it definitely revealed a lot more in this episode.
It does and it doesn't. I mean, again, we like it is showing us more of what's going on in the situation, sort of, but at the same time, we still don't know what's happening.
Hmm.
But again, that's what I really like about this show so far. It's just that it's just again tossing you down to the rabbit hole. You're getting clues here and there, so it's kind of leaving it up to like your own devices. Like what do you think is going on?
Yeah, still very much a mystery at this point, at least.
Yeah, but I just like again, I like how it's like all fun and sitcom like and wholesome, and then it just has its moments where you just go, "What the fuck is happening?" Like, oh
Hmm.
shit, this is getting serious. So, yeah, I'm digging this. What would you give it the rating wise for this one this week?
I'd give this one also a 4 out of 5. It's not a perfect episode, by any means. It's not one that's like completely blown me away. I'm sure there'll be one, at this point in the season, but still really solid, really good. It's just continuing the mystery, which is awesome. Seeing Marvel, blend genres like they always do so well with the sitcom format and being a mystery show slash movie, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's another good episode. Learned a little bit more. Like you said, the sinister undertone is being revealed, and
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just excited to see where we go from here because the ending of this episode. I mean, it really puts the show into perspective. Like, okay, like I think this is where this is going.
Yeah, I'm definitely again we're a third of the way through because there are 9 episodes this season, so it's like we're passing the essentially the beginning of this
Hmm.
trifecta
Yeah, the
of
first act.
yeah. So I'm gonna give it another 4.5 out of 5 because I know I gave the second one 4.5, just because again, it's still getting better. It's showing more, and again, just technically on a like on a production side, this there's a lot of special effects with this show, but it has a lot of practical effects, I feel like, too. Like, I like how it's kind of balancing out that, again, it's supposed to be like a 70, like this one's supposed to be like a 70s episode. So all the effects still look very 70s like very like, on a production scale, like TV production set. So I'm really digging that aspect of it. So yeah, 4.5 rantings out of 5 for me. That's one to stick with. But
and since you mentioned that, I'm very curious if they're going to do sort of like an inside edition of kind of like what they did with the gallery for the Mandalorian, where they go into the behind the scenes. Because I'd really like to know if a lot of these special effects that we're seeing in these episodes are actually practical or they're VFX made to look practical, which would be awesome too. So yeah, just the fact that you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, I really want to see like a whole breakdown of the behind the scenes of the show, because it would be really cool to see.
yeah, I really like the Gallery of the Mandalorian. I haven't finished all the season 1 behind the scenes just because it was a much more in-depth look at season 1, where they only did like an hour long one for season 2. I don't know if they will do anymore, but I don't mind it either, just because it kind of, did a cut up of each episode anyways for that. So I think they should keep doing that for the other shows. I'm sure they will at one point. Once WandaVision's done, we'll probably get a behind-the-scenes look of it. And then when Falcon and Winter Soldier come out, Loki comes out, I'm sure they'll all give breakdowns of, like, why they did it this way, what effects were we using. Because I doubt they're all using the same thing as The Mandalorian did. Because, it would just be interesting to find out. And even if they are, it's like, shit, that's cool. You guys are really exemplifying the whole use of that technology. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically just the best green screen version available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that whole like completely digital background that's like rendered in real time and like moves with the camera. It's so cool.
It is very cool. But shall we get into the spoilers, Burn?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, let's get down to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time for spoilers. So if you have not seen this episode or haven't seen WandaVision all, this is the time to turn off and come back next time. So deuces for spoilers.
Go watch it now. Action pose. Right.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I fell asleep there.
He's Looney Tuning here.
But now we are in the spoiler section. So where we left off in the last 2 episodes, how they're just moved into Westview, they're adjusting to the neighborhood and getting to know everybody. The last one ended with a huge curveball that Wanda is automatically a few months pregnant. And the intro for this one, again, because of it's in Technicolor and they kind of moved from like the 60s and 50s into the 70s, it's now, again, we were debating about this right before we started recording. I didn't feel like it was Brady Bunch like asset just because but that's what essentially a lot of people are comparing to. Essentially, it is a Brady Bunch themed episode where it ended with the whole like a grid like format for this intro. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Bern.
Yeah, exactly. All the the little grids with all the the different characters of the show and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like if they were gonna do Brady Bunch, they should have done it where Vision and Wanda are the ones like kind of singing like the Brady Bunch parents were, and they looked at like instead of like the children, it could have been just the characters of like the show. Like they could have had Agnes, they could have heard the neighbor that Dottie's husband, and then Dottie and Geraldine, and I forgot who else. They could have done it like that. I think that would have been a little bit better for the intro wise, just because it was a little unclear. But after looking it up and stuff, just to compare, it essentially was Brady Bunch themed. So that's not hugely important to me. But again, I'm really digging like the idea of this episode that, again, not only are we creeping into the rabbit hole where we're starting to uncover a lot of stuff, like Vision is becoming much more aware of everything around him this episode. I feel like,
and like by extension too, I think a lot of the other characters in the show are becoming more aware, or at least are more aware than what we initially thought, that they knew of what was going on, because it seems like the facade in this episode drops a few times, and especially with a lot of the interactions that Vision has with the other characters. So, I think we're seeing the veil, slowly being, unearthed or put off to the side, and we're really kind of getting to see what is kind of going on here.
Yeah, because like the first couple episodes, how they had the dinner scene with the husband like choking to death, and the wife is trying to just kind of play it off like not a big deal. And then the last one with like the toy plane and the radio of like who's doing this to you, Wanda. And then this one again, like as soon as Vision walks out of after the doctor says she's about 4 months pregnant, it's like, how? Like, this is within 12 hours. Like, he's just questioning it. He doesn't get that it's going on when she's trying to play it off like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like, it's just something new. But Vision is kind of like her voice of reason, I feel like. Because, again, I think he's still dead. There's a lot of rumors and theories going around with this season, but I'm going to stick with the fact that he is a figment of her subconscious or something like that, and he's trying to, like, let her know this isn't right. This isn't right. You can't keep doing this or keep playing it off, like living in your own fantasy land, essentially. Just because, again, when he gets the doctor out of the house, Herb next door, has his little trimmer. I forgot, or like a sawzall, basically going through the brick wall,
like a hedge trimmer.
Yeah, just going through the wall. And he's like, "You okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, just I'm a little tired," kind of thing. It's like, okay, like, cool. But then when he gets back inside, she's like, "Oh, like everything's great, right?" He's like, "No," because like he's just pointing out everything's wrong. It's like, Wanda, this isn't right. And I like the subtle change this time, how it went to black and then it kind of reversed back instead, like almost like what would you call that? Like just I guess like a cutscene, not a cutscene, but you know what I mean. Like what would be the technical term for that, Burn?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was just kind of like a hard cut rewind, where it felt like if it was like on tape, it like skipped back or something, instead of what we've seen before, where Wanda reversed time, in this instance. How the way it happened, where it wasn't her that specifically did it, it leads me to believe that it's the outside force that's kind of controlling this whole thing. Like, I do think Wanda is aware of what's happening. I think she's just kind of playing into it because it is like her fantasy. But I do think that there's an outside force that is like influencing her. And I think that's kind of like the hint that we saw in this episode with, Vision, saying, hey, there's something going on here. And then it skipping immediately back to, before that part of the conversation. So I think it wasn't her that did it this time, because last time, she clearly for the audience said, she said no. And then, it reversed time when they saw that beekeeper come out of the manhole. So I do think it was something else that we're seeing, playing into this whole scene.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of unanswered questions within within this episode, especially, and yeah, it's just I really thought it was adding to the thrill part. Well, like how I was saying, it was scarier, like just because Vision keeps questioning it, and Paul Bettany does such a great job of like transitioning from like happy-go-lucky husband to being the intelligent android that he is that like, Wanda, this isn't right. Like this there's something wrong here. And and her face again, just the acting with this is superb. Just because they're really selling it that they're sitcom 1 minute, but they really aren't, but they could play it off both. And yeah, no, and I like the theme of this one too, how he's just kind of planning out the pregnancy, and like it's like a fast forwarded version, like how TV shows usually do of a 9-month pregnancy, but instead they're actually commenting like, oh, it should be here by Friday. It's like only a couple days, like, and that's like, no, dude, a few hours. You timed that terribly wrong.
Yeah, seeing Vision like playing that like freaked out, soon to be dad character was so hilarious. Where he's putting the diaper on the doll, he's just like reading up on like different pregnancy like books and stuff. I thought that was just so funny. Paul Bettany's doing such a great job in the role of Vision here.
Yeah, and the writing again behind the show. Not only the acting, like really bringing it out, but just how he is playing the nervous dad. But it's also, again, the truth is coming out. Like he knows this isn't right. He's not comfortable with any of this because it's false. But it's like, oh, I'm just excited to see you, my little guy. And fun fact too, the actual names Tommy and Billy are really the comic book characters for the Young Avengers, Wiccan and Speed, who are essentially like a young Scarlet Witch / Thor character to a young Quicksilver. And there's a lot of debates on that or like little inconsistencies with it, but I'm not going to get into that right now. That I could care less. It's just really cool that they're bringing more of these comic book characters into the show through bit by bit. And just how she's pregnant, but she's still like It's playing on those old tropes that moms are, even like she's a stay-at-home mom, so all she's doing is like clean the house while she's pregnant, but she's essentially using her magic to, build the crib, paint the room, build, like, put all the toys up. And that's where I thought the practical effects looked really cool, because it
Yeah.
looks like that would have been like high-end effects back in the day, where now it's like we could do that super easy. So that's why I'm curious, like, how we want to behind the scenes. I want to know, did they do it using current effects, or did they kind of recreate old school effects to make it look good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That was a scene in particular that I was thinking of when I was talking about that earlier. Yeah, just her doing the whole nesting thing where, yeah, like she's painting the room and doing all that stuff. It was just so cool, and then just their interactions together is so great. Like they're really well written, and both the actors like really have good chemistry. So like I think it's probably like becoming one of my favorite relationships in the MCU, just because they're so adorable together.
Again, it's heartbreaking too, because we kind of got a bit of that in Infinity War, but it was all just, and that was the only time we really saw them being a couple. Like Civil War was them kind of getting closer, but
Yeah.
not like they had interest in each other, but they never acted upon it. And Infinity War, we got to see the beginnings of it, but we never got to see it fulfilled because of the events.
Right.
And it's like this is how it should have played out in the movies essentially, but they just never got to live that life. So that's why it's so bittersweet. But I love it at the same time, because it's a fun play of like, this is what it could have been, but really there's something else going on, and it's so tragic for her. Like it's just planning out the steps for the MCU going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It's that whole, Romeo and Juliet thing where it's like, it's going to end in tragedy, but it's still entertaining the whole way.
Exactly. And also Kevin Feige did say, I saw real quick before we go, that there won't be an Avengers movie this phase. That's going to come sometime soon,
Oh, wow.
but not for a while. So because I guess we are getting the Internals, Shang-Chi, we're seeing Black Widow and how Florence Pugh will take over her mantle essentially, and Black Panther 2 has to rewrite itself just because, Chadwick Boseman, God rest him, he passed. So there's a lot of stuff they have to kind of, I feel like they have to readjust their footing for the future phases going on if they want to keep this going and going well,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, and then that makes sense too. Like it seems like now after the whole Infinity Saga is done, they have to kind of lay the groundwork for, whatever the big event that's going to be built up to is, in the next 10 years. So, yeah, I don't mind that, if that's the case where there won't be an Avengers movie for at least the next few years, because there's so many characters that they've got. I mean, they got all the Fox, properties that they had, the X-Men and Fantastic Four. So I'm cool with we already got a great Avengers saga. So let's see some other stuff. And that's why I really like, WandaVision. I'm super looking forward to Loki because they look so different. It just seems like I said, Marvel's just getting crazy with it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Loki. Again, I am really excited for it. After seeing the trailer, I thought this is gonna be another crazy ass show, so that'll be weird to see. But I'm looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier because that kind of looks
Oh
like
yeah, I'm still looking for that one too.
it looks like an extension of like Winter Soldier, like as a series instead of the movie that it was. So I can't wait for that. That'll be like a return to normalcy and then go back to weird with the Loki stuff. So that'll be cool. But the pregnancy part, like the giving birth part, actually, that was actually one of the funniest and coolest scenes they've done. I know Kevin Smith even said that was one of the best scenes in all of Marvel that they've ever
Oh
done.
wow,
Yeah,
that's high
like
praise.
that's high praise.
How am I not in this show?
This show has been like that of a silverback gorilla wearing a form-fitting leather jacket. I love that SNL skit. Nick Cage with Nick Cage. It's the best thing ever. But I just love how when she's going through her contractions, it's affecting everything. Like the power's going out, the sprinklers going off. It's like, oh, my water just broke. It's like, oh shit, we're having the baby. Like, let's speed this up. And then Geraldine coming over for a bucket because like her pipes also burst. It's like, and she's trying to hide it with like either her stupid coat, and that kept changing.
Yeah,
like,
the coat keeps on changing.
I like how it changed into like a mink coat. She's like, oh, like I'm keeping this. Like she throws it away, so it's like stay the way you are.
It's not changing anymore. Like I want this nice fur coat.
And then like a literal stork, like a stork bringing the baby shows up, and it's just kind of poking around. She's like, stop, get away. But the bird's like, what are you saying to me? Like I'm gonna keep poking in here.
Like I'm a stork. What you gotta do about it?
Exactly.
The one that got me the most was when it cuts to like Dottie in her house. It's like, do these earrings make me look fat?
And the power goes
off. And her husband's just like, oh, thank God.
But she was still looking at him like, I'm sorry, what was your answer? Like, I'm still
Hmm.
like, don't, you better say it right. That was really funny. I like that one too. And again, the weird thing that this was another instance I thought the truth is coming out where Geraldine, she sees that Wanda's pregnant out of nowhere. She knows it's not right, but she still does it anyways. Like she already knows how to handle the baby and stuff, almost as if she was expecting it.
Hmm.
And when she gives birth to twins right on the spot, essentially, and Vision, I love how he races to the doctor, brings him back. The
Uh,
wife was like, "Hey, what about my new toothpaste? Like, I gotta show that off." I thought that was funny. Um, but yeah, just how she's like, "Oh, your brother was killed by Ultron." Like she was bringing up Pietro, like
hmm.
she kind of remembers him, but she doesn't know what happened to him.
Yeah,
But
she
when
does that.
Gerald,
So like Sokovian lullaby. That was pretty cool.
yeah, and then when Geraldine said that, she's like, "What'd you just say?" And that again, it's like Wanda just refuses. It's a good play on the fact that when people go through grief and trauma, that some people just don't want to think about it. They want to move on and forget about it completely, which is kind of unhealthy. This is the unhealthy version that you're just
Hmm.
completely blocking out reality. And Geraldine tried to play it off like, no, I just said, oh, like you must be tired. It's like, no, what did you say? I thought Wanda was gonna fuck her up. No joke.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, like this is so crazy how like she like again Elizabeth Olsen's like such a great actress for there. Yeah, she's at 1 minute she's like singing a lullaby and it's a great moment, and then she just turns and you see the daggers in her eyes, like oh my gosh, she's not to be messed with. Like we forget like she was introduced as a villain in the MCU, so it's like it's just that turn from her. I was like, oh my gosh, Geraldine, get out, run.
I was a little. That's what again. That's what I'm saying. This is getting scary just because she knows how to flip that switch of like super cool like neighbor slash mom, new mom now, to just being again the mama bear you don't want to fuck with, but also the lady that's like again because she is declared the most powerful character in all of the MCU. I
Hmm.
rewatched Endgame just because I love the ending fight scene is so worth it. It's just the whole movie's great, but I just rewatched
Yeah.
it for the fight scene and just when she's like messing up Thanos, tearing off his armor, like playing almost like she's like playing with a doll, just poking stuff out. And it
Hmm.
was just like she was gonna kill him at that point in time. So if she could have done it, she would have. So I was just getting worried for Geraldine, and then we see Geraldine's necklace with the
Hmm.
sword logo on, and she's like, "What is that?" Like she's already associating that it's bad. So sword, I think, is going to be an enemy for Wanda this season, just because my theory is that they're either like kind of controlling her in her own little stasis and like not letting her out because if she bent the reality in this like whatever site it is, I think it's probably like a Nuketown site where she's just kind of molding Westview into her own reality. She could do it for the rest of the world, and they're just containing it. Like they're like, we
Hmm.
can't let her out. But I was just getting scared for Geraldine. It's like, no, it's nothing. Like Wanda, relax. Like, don't be like this. It's like, I think you need to leave. It's like, I'm so shit. And
Yeah.
then, but Vision
And
going outside and seeing Agnes and her talking, it's like, hey, well, like, what's going on, guys? And again, Agnes, I don't know. She is I can't tell with her character. I don't know if she is a villain or if she is, again, at Wanda's mercy just because she's like, no, 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 no. Like, don't say anything, Herb. Like, we're not supposed to talk right now. We're not supposed to be doing this.
yeah.
Kind of reminds me of, if you remember the old Justice League episode where, like, John Stewart, Hawkgirl, Flash, and I forgot who else they get tossed into this, like, comic book world of the old, I forgot it was like John Stewart's favorite like superheroes. They were basically like the old Justice League characters, but it's like every time people keep getting to the truth, something happens. Like, do you remember that episode at all?
I don't even remember that one.
That's kind of what it's reminding me of. Every time someone's getting closer to the truth or something comes out, she has to stop it. Like she's just doing everything she can. And now Agnes is also saying like, stop, we're not supposed to do this. But then she's like, oh, well, that thing ain't gonna macrame itself. Like she just sells again the super cheesy like neighbor. But we know it's like, okay, there is something going on here. Wanda is at the heart of it. And
Like she might not be fully in control, but she does have a hand at what's going on in that town at least, and everyone seems to be at least somewhat aware of it. Because Dottie, like in the second episode, was just like, "Who are you?" and stuff, and then here with Agnes and Herb and their conversation, where just like they're kind of discussing Geraldine and how like she doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
They know their roles in that little pocket universe that they're in, and they recognize her as an outsider, but they're too afraid to do anything because they don't know how Wanda's gonna react.
And my gut feeling is Geraldine's trying to help Wanda, like maybe get her out of like her stuff. Maybe she's trying to be a therapist to her, or she's
Mm-hmm.
just maybe a super strong, super headstrong sword agent who's trying to make a name for herself. She's like, you know what, I'm gonna step into this and I'm gonna do stuff my way. And it's like maybe they're all again. I think they're all their sword agents, and they're just like, we got to keep it down. Like, and Agnes, I don't think she is. Again, I think she's still maybe like another Marvel supervillain, but again, she's just at the mercy of it, and she's like, we got to let this play out. Do not
Mm-hmm.
mess with this. So we'll have to. I mean, we'll have to see what happens later um, in the season. But that's those are the parts that would just get me scared. And then when Vision came back after hearing that, yeah, Geraldine has no home. She's not from here. Like it's really weird. He comes in all freaked out, like, "Where's Geraldine?" She just said, "Oh, she had to leave." Like
Mm-hmm.
I thought, did you just kill Geraldine right now? Like what
That's
the
what I
fuck
thought
is
for a
happening?
second. I
Like
was like, oh my gosh.
but and then I love the aspect ratio change theme with like some of these shows, like Mandalorian in the first episode last season, where it was just went from like widescreen to IMAX settings. This one from like the like
So it's
from
like
the
the 4:4 ratio. Yeah.
yeah 4:4 ratio to another widescreen shot. I thought that was really clever because it's just saying like we're kind of moving away from the
Yeah. Like
sitcom
we're
stuff.
yeah, and we're in going into the real world.
Exactly. So that was crazy how she gets thrown out of this freaking dome, this like, holographic dome. And she kind of just like all like dazed, like, what the fuck just happened? Like, where am
Mm-hmm.
I? And all the cars just rush to her. So I'm curious to see what it's going to be like. Is her memory wiped? Does she know what she's doing? What is Sword doing? Like, are they even on Earth at this point? That's actually a fair question to ask.
I think they are. Just because I don't think, Wanda's like gone anywhere, outside of Earth.
True, but Sword is a space based agency
Mhm.
essentially, just because.
But I don't think it is in the MCU, right? Because instead of like sentient world, it's a sentient weapon. Like I forgot what the entire acronym was, but it's like sentient weapon something. So instead of like operating off world looking for threats from outside, they're looking at threats inside. Basically within our planet.
That's true. Maybe you're right. Maybe they did change it a little bit for the MCU to be more like still Earth based status. Just because, again, I was thinking of Captain Marvel with, Sam Jackson's little end credit scene where he's in space with like other scrolls or something. I thought, wait, is like if he's in space, what part of space is he at? Kind of thing. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions I think this show is going to kind of fill us in on, and I think we'll get more from the other shows too, like bits and pieces of where Marvel's going now. So
Yeah, my theory is just since after basically the deconstruction of Shield, Earth and everyone's been kind of looking for the next thing to like sort of combat or like prepare against these basically metahuman threats. So
mhm.
I think maybe it could be like one of the things that maybe General Ross is like in charge of, just because I remember him in Civil War making reference to like, what do you think would happen if we misplaced 2 megaton bombs? So
Yeah,
I think this is sort of like his and the government's way, since the Avengers are kind of just basically governing themselves. At this point they're not following the Sokovian Accords. This is kind of their way to like keep superpowered individuals in check or something. That's my theory, at least.
yeah. I kind of want to see Ross more. Hopefully, he'll appear in She-Hulk as the Red Hulk because he is the original Red Hulk. And he is just a like he's a terrible person with good intentions. Like it is about the general public, but at the heart of it, it's still like his ambition, what he wants. So yeah, you could be right. Maybe this is something Ross has his hands in on, and is just trying to control Wanda because he did create the skiff. In Civil War, just that ocean prison, which in the comics is supposed to be an interdimensional prison, but for the MCU's sake, it makes sense it's in the middle of the ocean. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see. This stuff is, again, such a great show so far. I keep waiting every week and it sucks, but and that builds anticipation for it, so it
Yeah,
works.
definitely, and also because like you said, it's a mystery show, so having to wait like wait every week is like becoming more just like oh grueling. Like oh man, I want to know what's going on already. You know.
Exactly. But we'll talk next time. I know that there's a Godzilla trailer coming up, so I can't. We'll probably have to talk about that when it drops, just because.
Oh, we gonna talk about it.
Because I'm excited for that movie still, just because I've never seen the original Godzilla versus King Kong movie from like the 70s or something like that, or the 60s. So I'm excited to see what the new one will bring. But until next time, Burn, everybody, let us know what you thought of this episode. Give us a like, share, all that good stuff. We appreciate the help and the viewings, everybody. But yeah, I'll talk to you later, Burn.
Yeah, everybody, stay safe, be good to each other, and make sure to use that Hydra soak to to wash yourselves.
Yeah, and that's another. I know we didn't talk about it, but those ads on Marvel on this show so far are really just like, oh man, just little twists of the knife to Wanda, just because it's like they're just pieces of her history that are like, no, this is so messed up. But that's what made her who she is, so it is what it is.
Tis what it is.
Yes. Your sweater's on backwards.
Mr. Covington.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Ah, man. TTYL.
You know it.